the captain. So I've been working on some new instrument approach plates. So we're going to go ahead and take the Cap Air Jet out here and we'll test them out. So we have some fog here. So this is instrument weather conditions. And so we're going to go ahead and we'll utilize my new approach plates and we'll go fly this approach. So first start by showing you the airport diagram and the approach plates. Right, so here is the airport diagram for the military island. So this is based off my experience as a commercial airline pilot and utilizing some resources online to get all the nomenclature correct. So here's our airport diagram. We're currently in the hangar here. We're going to be heading out of the hangar here. We'll be taxiing to runway 21 via Bravo, Bravo 2. We'll hold short 21 and we'll head out. This is going to be the approach that we're going to be using. So this is going to be the NDB runway 29 into Military Island here. So again, I've flown these IRL, so we're going to go ahead and we'll utilize this plate to get in. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're up and running here. Let's go ahead and we will go flaps to 1. Beacons on, nav lights on, strobes will leave off for now. Hydraulic 2, gen is on. Let's go ahead and release the brake. Right, so let's go ahead and we'll look at the approach plate and we'll find the frequency. All right, so we won't go into frequency too much, but you see at the top of the approach plate, we have the ground frequency of 127.45. So we type that in, we go ahead and run off that. Let me start taxiing here before we start to hit things. All right, so let's go ahead and taxi out. So we're going to be taxiing via Bravo and go up Bravo 2. All right, so we'll go ahead and we will change over and we'll put on the radio here. Radio is 600. And that's going to give us the radio for this airport. So as you can see, this now is giving us the radio signal we need for actually coming in here and landing. So we're going to go ahead and we'll stop. We'll hold short here of runway 21. So set the brake. All right, and we'll go ahead. And so let's go ahead and brief this approach. So we're going to be taking off here, run off of runway 21. We're going to be heading to the south, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to head direct to the MIL NDB, and then we're going to go out on this course. So it's a 115 course outbound, and we're going to go out for 10 miles. At 10 miles, we're going to turn right 90 degrees, and then we're going to go out for a minute. We're going to come back around, and we will come back in for a minute, and then we'll come and we'll join the 295 course in, which will land us on runway 29. So to brief the rest of the approach here, as you can see, there's a vertical component. So we're going to start at, we'll just go ahead and we'll go up to 3,000 feet. We'll hit the NDB. As soon as we get to the NDB, we'll descend down to 2,000 feet. Within 10 nautical miles and back inbound on course on a 295, we can descend down to 752 feet. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so let's go ahead and take off. So I won't bother doing all the radio calls. But we'll go ahead and take off. So we would pre-select our autopilot mode. So I'm going to do that as we kind of get on the runway here. So altitude hold, 3,000 feet. And heading is going to be, we checked the approach plate. So I'll just quickly look at my copy of it. So the runway heading is going to be a 211. So we want to head out on 211 for runway 21. All right, 211's in there. We're going to pre-select heading hold, altitude hold, and until we press autopilot, that's not going to do anything. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start taxiing. All right, here we go. And we're clear for takeoff. And we'll do some lights here as we start to run. All right, there we go. A little bit sways here as I'm not paying attention. 80 knots. V1, rotate. All right, autopilot's coming on. Positive rate gear's coming up. Over 100 knots, flaps are coming up. All right. So we'll go ahead and let the autopilot take us out on this. Right, we're going to turn right about, we'll go right 90 degrees. So we'll just do approximately 300 there. All right, so now it's a bearing of 030 back to the NDB. So we're going to prepare for that in a moment. So we'll go ahead, and once I select, we can pre-select nav. All right, and I'm going to deselect heading hold, and that's going to take us to the NDB. So we're currently about 2.6 nautical miles from the NDB, which is at the airport. I'll bring up the plate on another monitor so I can see what I'm doing here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to maintain 200 knots. I'm not going to go too fast here. All right, so we're making the turn. We're pretty close in, so I'm just going to slow down just a little bit so that we can make it back. I'll show you the ground track. I'll go ahead and enable that so you can see where we are in relation. Maybe make it a little bit easier for you guys to understand what's going on here. But as you can see, we took off a 2-1, and then now we're making a looping turn back into the airport, like so. All right. And we're going to head over the NDB that's sitting on the field. I'm just going to turn us a little bit quicker. We're going pretty fast, so I'm just going to turn us a little bit quicker so that we get right back to the airport. Because I don't want to have it take us forever. So, as you can see, the bearing is a 109, so it's going to take us to 109, and that's going to take us directly to the airport. So what I want to do is set our outbound course next. That's going to be a 115. That's reciprocal of the runway we're going to land on. All right, so we're 0.4 nautical miles or 0.1 minutes from the from there, and next we're going to do heading hold. All right, so now we're turning on the heading here of 115. All right, so we're heading outbound 115 until this reads a distance of 10 nautical miles. All right, at 10 nautical miles, let me bring up the approach plate again. All right, here's the approach plate, so I'll bring up the part we need to be looking at here. So if we look here, this is the plan view of the approach plate right here, and so we're currently going to be going outbound on the 115. We're going to head out there for 10 nautical miles. At 10 nautical miles, we're going to make a right turn to 160. We're going to go out for a minute. After a minute, we're going to do a standard rate turn back, and we're going to head back on a 340 heading. And then we're going to intercept the 295 inbound. So go ahead, and I'll show you that as we get in there. All right, so we're at 3 nautical miles. Things go very fast in a jet. You know, you don't have a ton of time here, so we want to do all our planning. I'm just going to do a quick after takeoff checklist there. That's complete. All right, so once this hits 10 miles, we're going 191 knots, so we're going more than 3 miles per minute. So it's going to take us less than 3 minutes to get out to 10. So, you know, if you have a small airplane, it takes a little bit, well, it takes quite a bit longer depending on the speed. But, you know, this will be pretty quick in a jet. You know, we always talk about in aviation, you want to stay ahead of the airplane, and the faster the airplane, the faster you have to think, the faster you have to work. So I'm going to get a stopwatch going here so I can be ready for the timing out. All right, 6 miles. So we can actually descend down to 2,000 feet. That's in the plan view. I'll show you that really quick as well. All right, so let's go, the vertical part of it. Let's go ahead and show you that. If we look here, you can see once we've gone past the NDB, we can descend down to 2,000 feet. So we're now going down to 2,000 feet. All right, there's 2,000 feet. We're 7.4 nautical miles out. All right, so our next heading here is going to be the 160. Let me bring that up. Sorry for flicking the camera. So here it is right here, 160. So right turn, 160. So we're expecting that at 10 nautical miles. So as soon as we get close to 10 nautical miles, I'll type in 160, and we'll start turning. So this is a non-precision approach. We'll have to see how the fog is with this one. I might, you know, let's just preemptively kick the fog down just a hair. It's up to 56. Let's go down to like 35. I just want to make sure we see this airport. A precision approach, we would see it fine. A non-precision, we may not. So there's 10, so 160. Okay, 160, we're going to make our right turn. So currently, if we look at the approach plate again, we are on our right turn here, 160. So I'm going to go out for a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and time on rollout. So I'm not going to start my timer until we roll out on 160. I could start it now, but I want to buy myself a little extra time. You know, this will give me plenty of time to do it. All right, there's 160. So I'm starting my timer now, and we're going to go out for a minute. In a minute, we're going to come back on a 340. You can see that on the plan view. So, and you can see over here my bearing. That's the needle is always pointing at the coordinates at the airport. IRL it would be a little shack, or GPS, it would be a GPS position on the actual airport. And so we're going to be coming back on the 295 course, and so we're going out for a minute here. We're about 30 seconds in, and we're going to make our turn back to 340. So it'll be a left turn, 340. All right, now because we're making a right then a left, this is buying us extra time. As you can see, we're 14 nautical miles out. All right, and here we come. So let's go 340. So I'm just going to turn 090, and then I'm going to hit 340. It should turn left, but I just want to verify that it's going to turn left. So we'll force it to turn left here. And I don't need to time my way back in. I can watch the actual numbers. All right, so now I'm just going to get us a little bit closer. All right, there, 340, 340. All right, now we're on our way back in. All right, so if you can see this says 307, we want that to get near 295. 295 is the final heading we're going to be on for this approach. Let me just get rid of the approach plate so you can see. All right, so we're turning back inbound here. As you can see, the bearing says 304. When that gets close to 295, we're going to be turning on course here. You see the times going a little nuts, and that's just because we're currently not going either close or further away from the airport. We're kind of just hanging in this area here. All right, so I'm actually going to cut the corner a little bit here. Let's go to, say, 300. Because we're about ready to turn anyway. So I'm going to go right to 295. I might have to help it. You see this number going down? It's 297. I'm going to help the turn a little bit here. It's we're getting close to it, so I want to get us on there. So we're turning a little bit too slow. There we go. Okay, 295. So we're back inbound on course here. So he says, see it says 296. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to actually go up. Let's go 297. 297. And I want to get that number to go down. So we're going to try to get that number there. So if we look back at the vertical segment of the approach plate here, when we're within 10 nautical miles from the NDB, we can descend from 2,000 feet down to 752 for a straight-in landing. So we want to go ahead and do that once we get within 10. We're over the water. There are no obstacles. IRL, you could have things like antennas, mountains. If there are mountains, it might say within 5 miles. Depends on what the obstacles are. So we're currently inbound on course here. We're currently 12.5 nautical miles, so we're a little bit past. This is 10 miles right here, the turn, so we're probably right around the arrow there. All right, so we're inbound. All right, and 752. So that's 500 feet above the field elevation. So as you can see, I went to 297 here. Let's go back. Let's go a little bit more. Let's go 298. So I'm trying to correct. I don't want this to be off. We want 295. All right, it's 296. So I'm trying to go further north of the course to get the number to drop. All right, here's 10 nautical miles coming up. And we're going to go down to 752 at 10. There's 10, and we're descending. All right, now in our descent, we're going to go gear down. And we're going to throw in a bum load of flaps there. I'm going to start slowing down. And we'll slow down to our final approach speed. This is going to buy us time, but we also want to be configured for landing. So we're cleared the approach. We're going to turn on our taxi light. That was how we did it at the airline I work for, was when you're clear for the approach, you clicked on the taxi light. That reminded you that you're cleared for the approach, and once you're clear for landing, you would click on the landing light. That would be a quick way for you to remember. Landing gear up. Make sure we... Okay, landing gear's all down. I just have a bad light, so I don't know why that light's bad, but just a bad read on that light. All right, so we're inbound 295. I'm going to go back. So that was my course correction of 298. I put in a course correction because I turned too fast onto course, so I'm a little bit south of my course, so I went north to get back on course. So now that's a bearing of 295. We're going 295. If this number goes up, I want to go north. If this number goes down, I want to go south a little bit to correct. Very small corrections, a degree or two now. We're currently 7 nautical miles out. Our speed's pretty good. It's a little bit high. This is a short runway. IRL, these runways would be much, much longer. So, you know, these are like 1,200 foot long runways. You know, for a jet like this, you're talking, you're going to want at least 4, 5, 6 are very, very short. So, but in game, we can stop a lot faster than we can. All right, we're currently 6 nautical miles. We're 2.8 minutes out. Even though we're at our final approach speed, which is relatively slow, 128 knots, we're still going very fast here. We're still going 2 miles per minute. So we have to always be thinking. So what we're going to do here is when we see the approach lights, the airport or the runway environment itself, we can continue and declare that we're going to land. If we don't see anything by the time this hits 0, we're going to go missed. There's a missed approach procedure on here. We should be able to see this airport, but if we look at the missed, it says, missed approach, climb to 1,000, then climbing left turn to 2,000, direct MIL NDB and hold. That would be this right here. That's that missed approach. We're going to try not to do a missed approach here. So I'm looking out front for this. We're 2 or 4 miles out, so we still might not see it yet. I'm just going to do third person. Okay, I can start to see islands, so we're good. I just want to make sure the fog wasn't too heavy. With a precision approach, you could go down to 200 feet. And so that would allow us to get very close to 200 feet above the touchdown zone, which is 272 feet at this airport. And then if we were able to see the runway lights, we could continue down to 172 feet. And so that would be much closer, greater chance we'd see it. I'm actually going to just dial the fog down anyways. Makes it so that everybody can see a little bit better. We'll go down to 25%. All right, we're currently 2.7 nautical miles. We're going to be looking ahead. You can see ocean. We're looking straight ahead. 294. All right, so we need to go to the south of the course, just barely. So we'll go 293. We want that number to climb back up. So I need to go a little bit to the south of the course here. It's very minor. We're very minorly off course. I don't need to do much. There's the airport right there. So at this point, we would declare airport in sight. Autopilot's coming off. I have the airport in sight. You notice how that little bit of course correction was very, very minor. We were very close to being right on the money. You see, it was minor. So some people, especially new instrument pilots, will freak out if their course is off by 1 or 2 degrees. It is a very small amount. You really want to make small corrections. Right. So we're continuing down a little bit fast. I'm just pulling off a hair of speed here. This is a very short runway. And so I want to be cautious that I can touch down here and get stopped. All right, landing gear is good. Hopefully they have that light out. And thrust is coming off, touching down. Brakes, 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 brakes. And I think the gear collapsed. Yep, so I had a gear problem. But that... Stormworks. Now, that was a my problem. It's not the game problem. As you can see, we have a bad gear indicator light. That's telling us our front gear was not locked. So I need to fix that. That's a me problem. But as you can see, the instrument approach works fine. I need to fix that gear. But that is the instrument approach here. So let's quickly just look at the approach, and I'll kind of walk you guys through it and show you what we did. All right, so here is the approach plate. And so I'll show you exactly what happened. I'll draw on this, and we can see. So go ahead and just grab a marker here, and we'll do 4. We'll do some red. And so what we did here was we took off of runway 21, and we headed to the south. We then turned right about 90 degrees. We started a 90-degree turn, and then I turned back around and the airplane went back directly to the NDB. When we got to the NDB, I turned to a heading of 115, and we followed the line all the way out like so. All right. So we went like this, and then once we hit 10 nautical miles, turned right to 160. I timed for a minute. I kind of I panicked a little bit and started turning a little bit faster. Probably want to maybe make it a minute and a half. Just buys me more time. The airplane is fast, and it turning a standard rate turn. It should take us a minute to get turned around as well. And then, so once we hit the minute, we went ahead and turned back around at standard rate to 340. And then we want to start heading here. And so the needle is currently pointing up like this. So when we're here, it's pointing at the airport. And so as we get closer and closer, the needle is going to be at a higher number. So is that like 308 when we finished our turn? So this needle would be pointing at 308. As we get closer and closer, the needle is going to drop, and once it gets to 295, our inbound course, we can then turn inbound, and we can head in. All right, so I'll just change colors here. So now that we're heading inbound, we're going to go ahead and we followed the track in. If we look at our altitude plan here, when we came back and we hit the NDB, that's us coming back here, we can then descend down to 2,000 feet. All right, so about this whole area here, we should have been, at least we could descend where we wanted to 2,000 feet. This gives us clearance over obstacles. All right. So once we came back here and we were within 10 nautical miles, that's pretty standard. That tells you when you can descend down to your final altitude, which right here for straight in landing was 752 feet. So once we came and we hit 10 nautical miles, which is this point here, we're able to descend down to 752. Came back in and got configured for landing. So as soon as I started descending, put down gear, flaps. In jets, you need the gear and the flaps to help slow you down as well. Get configured for landing. All right, you also want to be stabilized by 1,000 feet. So as we're coming down here, we just came in, and right about, I would say, this island here, I started seeing it. So I saw the airport about here is where I visually identified the airport, because I could see this island right here. And then what I did was kick off the autopilot, and we came in and landed on runway 29. So pretty good there. We'll go over the airport diagram that I made here. So this is the airport diagram. I did change one of the numbers here. It could have either been runway 3012 or 2911. I decided on 2911. And the reason is this is 295. So because it's 295, it it can go either way. And this is 115, it can go either way. So it has to go one way or the other. But that is the airport diagram. So we came and landed on this. It's only 1,551 feet long. That's pretty short for a jet. But, in game, we can stop a little bit faster, especially when the nose gear collapses. I had that yellow light. We'd have to land eventually. I could have recycled it and tried it again to see if it would lock. I need to see what's wrong with it. It could just be an electrical problem. But, yeah, so then some people are asking why I didn't extend Bravo down here. This is too small of an area to taxi. I can show you on the map here. If we go ahead and we look here, this is this area right here. So that's not wide enough for a taxiway. This would be considered an apron for land vehicles. So not really wide enough for a taxiway. That's why I did that. Go ahead, look here. So we came out of the hangar here, and we taxied via Bravo to Bravo 2, and then we took off runway 21 this way. So that's how we took off. Alpha here, somebody was saying this should be a different. Nope, this is correct. This is how most airports will do it. You continue on like that. I showed Boston Logan does that. Cool things on the chart here. Our highest obstacle is this symbol here, and that is the large antenna that's on field. These are all the tents. This is here. You mark your elevation of some of your higher obstacles. So, for example, the control tower is 111 feet off sea level. The hangar is 130 feet. Looking back at the approach plate, some more information on the approach plate. This is your minimum safe altitude. This is for 25 nautical miles from this. It's 2,460 feet. That is accurate to the volcano. The volcano is right here, Mount Goldblum. That's within 25 nautical miles. That is our highest obstacle. So that's within 25 nautical miles, and that will, as long as you're over, so this needs to be 1,000 feet above the highest obstacle. So Mount Goldblum is 1,460 feet tall. So that will prevent you from hitting Mount Goldblum and give you that 1,000 feet of clearance you need. So pretty cool. This works really well. I'd like to get into some ILS as well. Hopefully you guys found that interesting, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.